move on. We got some Dynasty buys and sells to get to. I think we're just going to talk through a couple of names. Josh, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I actually don't have a sell. I didn't really think we were doing that. I thought we were doing
we could
buys
just do
and
buys. That's
sleepers.
fine.
Buys and sleepers, because if you're...
I have one sell, so I'll do my one when I get to it.
Yeah, so mine are mainly like if you're redrafting these, we're still, I guess, drafting. We shouldn't be, but thanks a lot, Alan. But just in general, if you could try to buy this person, probably won't have to spend that much. But also if you're drafting him, you're probably getting him in like the 10th plus round. DJ Chark is my guy right now. I think a change of scenery is really going to do him some well. After that ankle injury derailed this 2021 campaign, I just hope that he's a free agent this year. I'm hoping he goes to a team that knows how to utilize his skill set. He has had a pretty good career so far. Honestly, a shocking like 4th rounder who's done pretty well. Wasn't even doing good before his injury, but I think he's going to go to a team that needs him. And I mean, I could see the Lions. I could see the Eagles. Eagles have been linked to him. A lot of different teams that like need that second wide receiver there. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this next year. Kind of sad I didn't get him in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
It's interesting to see him play a different role than he's been playing. Like what is he capable of doing? Because Jacksonville hasn't unlocked that at all.
Yeah, and the knock on him and has always been is that he's just too small. But I just think that he hasn't had the right opportunity to really show what he could do. I think if he gets put on a different team, maybe that potential could be unlocked.
I recently saw a catch of him against Chicago. I think it was a couple of years ago, and it was just him jump ball he's not that small. He's 6'4". Jump ball against the Chicago DB. Not that was saying anything a couple of years ago, but he brought it down really nicely. I don't know. I just see this going wherever he goes, he's going to be needed. So, he's going to get the usage out of him. I'm just excited about him because I think you can buy him pretty low right now. I think people kind of are just assuming he's done. And honestly, people might not even know he's a free agent. So I think this is the time to buy him.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. All right, I'll go with one because I think this guy is a important piece to the future of the Patriots, and that is Kendrick Bourne, wide receiver. He is signed through 2023. Mac Jones likes the kid. He had multiple games. I think he had 4 or 5 games of over 20 points. Had I think 5 touchdowns on the season. But I think Mac Jones, as the season went on, really liked Kendrick Bourne as one of his favorite targets. And I think they're going to add a wide receiver in the draft, most likely. I think it's going to be Kendrick Bourne, and then I think it's going to be Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers has been allergic to touchdowns for most of his career so far. So I think Kendrick Bourne could actually, now that the new wide receiver is going to get in there, they're probably going to focus on him as being the main, and then Kendrick Bourne is going to be able to slide into that wide receiver 2 spot and actually be able to eat in that spot. Only 26, good dynasty buy. He's got at least 2 more years with the Patriots. Mac Jones is going to have to start passing the ball more. I think that's just natural.
It's a good one, man. I haven't even thought of him.
Yeah, Kendrick Bourne, Greg Ward, what's the guy? Tim Patrick. Those 3 like non-sexy wide receivers that just Greg Ward's probably the least of that, but I feel like he's had his time. But those 3 wide receivers just kind of like they're the 3rd, 4th guy. Like nobody's ever thinking about him. Obviously, a little different now that Bourne's on New England, but he actually had a surprisingly good year this year. So definitely one of those guys that like if someone owns him, they might know. But honestly, like people aren't excited about him, and no one's excited about a New England receiver as it is. So
definitely not now, and especially like here's what I would do: I would wait until after the NFL draft because they're going to draft a 1st-round wide receiver, maybe Jamison Williams from Alabama, something like that. Wait until then because then the Kendrick Bourne person's probably not even going to be thinking about it. So you could probably flip him for a 3rd before your draft starts because that manager might be thinking, okay, this guy's going to not like his target share is going to go down. The secret is his target share wasn't really that high anyway. He was already succeeding on the targets he was getting. So I just think, going into next season, he's already got the natural built-in chemistry with Mac Jones so far. I think it would just be a good pick.
Yep. And this is the season to sell picks and acquire players. So that's what we do this time of year. Another guy that no one's really excited about is Allen Robinson. He's turning 29 this year, and I get it. Last year was bad. He loafed it all year. The Bears were straight up disrespectful to this man after what he has done for them. So he's going to go to a new place. He's probably going ring shopping. So he's going to land on a good team. But he's going really late. He was in the ninth. He was taken in the 9th round of our Dynasty draft, which is absolutely criminal. Fantasy football players have the worst case of what have you done for me lately. Allen Robinson was a top 10 guy in 2019 and 2020 with 98 and 102 catches respectively. And he did that with Trubisky and Nagy in charge. So Allen Robinson's been undervalued his whole career. He's still in his prime, but he's going to ride off into the sunset and have some massive seasons ahead of him.
Yeah, I love the idea of buy lows here because people, especially in Dynasty, I mean, he's 28 years old. He's had an up and down career, two pretty good years in his early career, an injury. Then he goes to Chicago and has a kind of mediocre year, then 2 good years, and now he's having a bad year. I like this trend to continue, and wherever he goes, I imagine he's going to do something at least good. And yeah, he might go a little ring shopping. Hopefully he doesn't go to a crowded team, but I love the idea of getting him before the trade because once he goes to the Bills or something, nobody's trading him. So this is the time to buy.
Buy him now.
I agree.
And he's 28. Receivers can play to their old. I mean, it's not uncommon for receivers to play until they're mid 30s or so.
All right, can I get my sell out of the way real quick before we do another round of buys? Sell is Aaron Jones. I think that I think AJ Dillon is going to take over that backfield at some point next season. I think the value of Aaron Jones is only going to diminish as the offseason starts and they start talking about how, our plan is for AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones to split the workload. Don't want to hear that when you're an Aaron Jones person or a manager, because if you think about it, AJ Dillon was much better than Aaron Jones down the stretch. Now, Aaron Jones did have over 100 receiving yards in the playoff game that they had. He's not like dead or done. So if you have to have him on your team, then that's fine. But if you're going to try to maximize the value of him, now would be the time. Or if not, you're going to have to hold. But I would say if you waited until the season starts, your value of Aaron Jones is not going to be near what it is right now.
I just didn't get what they were doing with Aaron Jones. Like, were they saving him for the playoffs? Because he wasn't really injured. He missed a game or two. I think he missed 3 games or something. 2 games.
He got injured after that 4 touchdown game he had at the start of the year. It was like his foot or ankle or something, and he kept playing, but he never looked right. He didn't look like his normal self for the majority of the season, really, until he had those receiving yards in the playoffs. That was kind of his coming out party. But
I felt like they were waiting for him to have a good playoff year or something. I mean, he still finished in the top 10 barely. I'm not expecting him to go up at this point. I was never a big Aaron Jones believer in the first place. But also Green Bay's potentially in shambles, although somehow Aaron Rodgers might stay in Green Bay. I don't know. We got one more year maybe, but I doubt it. I'm out on it. I think AJ Dillon's the future, which I think is pretty clear at this point.
By the way, another sell, but this is just quick. Gabe Davis, if you have him, just pitch it out to some people and see what you can get. I think if you can get a haul for Gabe Davis, now's the time. I would also keep him, like if you really need a wide receiver. But if you need a running back help or something like that, maybe just toss him out there. Maybe you're going to have to attach a pick to him, but you might be able to get something. Who knows?
I have to disagree with you on that one. That's not a guy to sell right now.
Why? He's 27.
Gabriel Davis is 22.
Is he really?
Yeah, this is his second year in the league.
Think of somebody else. Well, okay. I mean, I still think his value is never going to be higher than it is right now.
I don't know.
Stephon Diggs being 28-7.
You're probably thinking of. I could see Diggs. I personally think Diggs is on the downslide. That would be my sell right now. And yeah, he's 28. Diggs didn't have until the end of this year. He was not really having that great of a year. He had a couple of good games. I mean, it obviously wasn't bad. He actually ended up being wide receiver 3. I should shut the fuck up. A little bit. Wide receiver 7. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Diggs I could see selling. He's never going to have that year he had last year where he had like the 4 touchdowns and the championship. But yeah, Gabe Davis, absolutely. If anything, try to trade for him, but that's a whole other story.
All right, back to buys.
Let me get to mine. My man's Tyler Boyd. He's 26, 27. He's on the books for the next 2 years. I actually didn't know this. So we talked about Burrow and the offensive line. Hopefully they try to protect him. Burrow's still going to use Tyler Boyd. Everyone, obviously, he's in the trio of Higgins and Chase, but one injury to the latter of those two, Boyd is immediately a top 10 wide receiver, top 15. I mean, he's catapulted into that. Obviously, this all depends on Joe Burrow's health, but I got him in the 17th round of a Dynasty startup. And people are just like, oh, well, it's T. Higgins and it's Jamar Chase. So I don't think so. I think Tyler Boyd still has a lot to prove. He's had phenomenal, like at least decent years throughout his career so far. I don't think he's done. I mean, 800 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards the last 4 years. I'm good with that.
It's a good buy.
Oh yeah, that's a good buy. Okay, one more buy for me, and that's Dante Foreman. I think you're going to have to do this pretty darn quick because once free agency opens and he ends up on a better team, I think that window is going to slam shut quick because he's only 25. We saw what he could do at the end of the season when he had to take over for Derrick Henry. Obviously, playing behind Tennessee's O-line, as bad as they are for Tannehill for some reason, they're really good at run blocking, but I still think he has shown enough to get a second chance at being either a lion's share kind of guy or worked in enough to where it's going to be someone that you can use. And I think if you talk to the person that has Dante Foreman right now, they might consider selling because they think if he stays with Tennessee, he's not going to be, used as much because Derrick Henry's there. But, you're hoping that he gets moved to somewhere where he's going to be used, that he can maximize his points per game.
We were talking about this last week. You know where he'd be perfect? Miami.
Yeah, Miami would be good. I think Carolina is in the mix. I really do, but that's just me.
That would be a good
Bills
off
would make
chance
a ton
for
of sense.
McCaffrey.
Bills would be fun.
Bills would be a great.
Well, apparently they're done with Zach Moss for some reason.
Running backs are tough to come by, especially like late round sleeper guys. But I think this one is a special case because he's 25, still got plenty of good years ahead of him.
Okay, I have an interesting one for you. Speaking of this, because I have him and Hilliard. What do you do with Hilliard? Because Hilliard actually looked freaking awesome in that.
He did, and
he just never got the shot. Really, I mean,
well, Jeremy McNichols was viable early in the season, and then Hilliard just outplayed him after he got hurt. So
yeah,
and Hilliard's a free agent as well. I don't think he's going to get that even chance to be the lion's share guy, but I think he goes to a better situation where he's not behind one of the best running backs in the league.
I don't know. I mean, you might want to keep the handcuff to Derrick Henry because that is a very valuable position, as Foreman showed, as Hilliard showed at points.
Well, obviously, if either one of them stay, it's still rosterable. I mean, after
but I wouldn't buy Foreman. No, that's over. There's no way they like him at this point. I'm sorry. It's not that I mean they don't like him. Like he's done something wrong, but
yeah,
they clearly don't have the same thought they did before the season.
Who are you talking about?
Darrington.
Oh my God, is he even on the team anymore?
Yeah, he was on IR like the whole team. Yeah, the whole year.
Oh, gotcha.
Anyway, my second buy is Michael Gallup, 25 years old. Had a late season ACL tear, but it's 2022. ACLs are really considered minor injuries these days. And so my man's always been teamed up with stud receivers on the other side of him. If he gets the opportunity while he's averaging 15 yards per catch, he could be an absolute steal at his current price right here. He went in the 18th round of our recent draft. I get it with the ACL and the uncertainty because I don't like the uncertainty of free agent players unless they're studs. But gambling on this upside is what wins leagues, and I am absolutely buying him.
I think you're right, Joe. I think that's the play.
I also like Cedric Wilson because Cooper's not going to be around forever. And Cedric Wilson, I believe, still has a year or two left on his contract at Dallas. And I don't think Gallup's getting re-signed, so Gallup's going to test free agency, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think he's gone, and I think Cedric Wilson actually steps into that number 2 role next year, not this upcoming year, but 2023. Or if Cooper goes down, Cedric Wilson actually had a pretty good year. But yeah, no, I like Gallup a lot. I think he just always been buried on the depth chart. If he can go to a team where he actually has a chance to shine.
I think I can agree with that.
So let me get to my last one.
All right, go.
Mine is not necessarily a try to buy. I mean, if you can, please try. But it's more of a, if you're in a dynasty startup, grab this man, Michael Carter. He went in the 9th round to our man Billy here in our league, in between Kareem Hunt and Tony Pollard. Or no, sorry, Singletary and Kareem Hunt. Michael Carter had a great rookie year on the Jets, and this is the first time we've seen a good running back on the Jets in a long time. And remember, they had Le'Veon Bell the year after his weird hiatus from the NFL. He didn't do anything. All the random interim running backs they've brought in, Ty Johnson did okay, I guess. But Michael Carter, 600 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 300 receiving yards in 14 games, missed 3 games with an injury. I am really excited. He was the pass catcher at North Carolina with Javonte, and they both hit 1,000-yard receiving or 1,000-yard rushing in that year. 1,000 yards, I guess. But I am all about Michael Carter. I'm actually really sad that Billy drafted him. I really wanted to, and I didn't, and I'm regretting it. I asked him immediately before this podcast what he want for him, and he said, "Well, we'll see." And now I just confessed my dying love for Michael Carter, so I don't think I'm ever getting him.
Well, here is the problem with me doing that. I went wide receiver heavy at the end because I'm trying out no running backs in the first 4 rounds to see if it works.
You got AJ Dillon in the 3rd.
I ended up going AJ Dillon in the 3rd because I got scared and nervous. But the first 2 rounds, it stood strong, took wide receivers. And Michael Carter is one of those guys that's perfect to add into a team like that because he's probably going to get the lion's share of the work. And not everybody's on Michael Carter yet. So you could probably get him in the 9th round, as I did.
I think we can all agree we love some Michael Carter. Now, Billy, when we were at the Senior Bowl, Robert Saleh was in the room with us, and he was being interviewed. I was going to run over there and just ask him what the plan was for Michael Carter because that's the only thing. I could easily see them drafting him back and kind of doing a 1A, 1B thing. And the only other thing that concerns me about Michael Carter is most of his damage was done with Mickey Blanco, especially through the air. Zach Wilson got more involved with the dump-offs throughout the year, but he has a couple question marks, but we absolutely love his talent and definitely buy him.
He did have 17 catches in 2 games with Mickey Blanco. So
yeah,
there was definitely a connection there, but it wasn't really rushing. He actually didn't do much on the ground because Mickey Blanco was pretty much just throwing. So I don't know. I'm just excited about him in general. I'm sad not to own him or manage him in any of my leagues. So that man is he's going to have a good career. I just hope he eventually gets off the Jets, or the Jets at least somehow turn it around, but it's the Jets. So
Jets might turn it around. We'll see. All right, Joe, you have any more people?
Yeah, I'll go on this one real quick. Terrace Marshall, he's 21 years old, and he dealt with piss poor QB play between the flaming trash can, Cam Newton, PJ Walker. Robbie Anderson has a $16 million cap hit this year, but only $3 million next year in 2023. And this dude is 6'2", 205, and at LSU, he was a touchdown machine. I mean, if he gets a competent QB, then rocket his name up boards. He went at the 286th pick in our draft, and he's still only 21. I can't get over that.
Yeah, it's a good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm one of those people I'm not down on him. I'm just not as up as I will be when he pops off, and I'm like, damn, I should have.
It's hard to be excited about right now.
He's a rookie, though. I mean, rookies do not always have great starts, and not to mention he was on one of the shittiest offenses to start off with. So,
and they had a lot of targets on that offense too.
That's also true.
That's what it is. Now they got Ben McAdoo, so can't wait to see what that leads to for him.